Good afternoon, Fantasy Bay. Mike Williams here with another Week 9 game preview. And today we're going to be going over the Texans versus Jaguars. Let's get it started. So the over-under for this game is 46.5, and the spread is -1.5, favoring the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson had himself a game last week. 33 fantasy points, 279 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. He got kicked in the eye, still threw a touchdown to his tight end. Man, he is playing phenomenal. He's been averaging 33 fantasy points over the last 4 games. That's fantastic. He's also averaging over 300 yards a game for the last 4 games. 323. Beast mode. That's what I'm talking about. He ranks 6th amongst total passing yards on the year. He ranks 2nd on total points on the year. Beastly at 25.1. DeAndre Hopkins is obvious. Oh, well, let me get back to Deshaun Watson. Obviously, you're starting him. I didn't know if I needed to say that, but start Deshaun Watson. DeAndre Hopkins is coming into form, averaging almost 20 points a game in the last 4 weeks. He had 21 last week. 11 receptions off of 13 targets for 109 yards. That's what you're looking for when you drafted DeAndre Hopkins, and I think he's finally showing out. And I'm not worried. I'm not too worried about the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. They allowed 22 fantasy points in the game. That's 22 fantasy points to wide receivers in a game. That's middle of the pack. I'm fine with that. Let's go. Will Fuller looks like he's going to miss this game. He may miss a couple more. Kenny Stills was supposed to be the Will Fuller fill-in, but man, did he underperform. He only had 5 targets, which I'm not expecting him to get a bunch of targets. I'm expecting those targets to be very far downfield, and I'm expecting him to catch a couple and beat some people. He didn't get you a touchdown last week. Honestly, I'm perfectly still fine with starting him. I think he's a flex play, wide receiver 3, and he had 5 targets. Those 5 targets could be 2 touchdowns for 85 yards easily because he is Will Fuller light. He's a decent route runner, and he's fast as hell. So I'm still playing him this week personally. I have him in one of my leagues, and I'm playing him. Carlos Hyde. Over the last 4 games, he's been averaging 10 points. He's not been playing too great. He's really middle of the pack. He's not involved in the passing game, only 1 target. I mean, I think he is a startable player, but I have him more as a low-end wide receiver 2, or running back 2. Sorry about that. Duke Johnson actually came out of the woodworks, had 13 fantasy points last week. You like to see that. He had a receiving touchdown, 5 targets, 4 receptions. That's not bad. I think that he is a fringe running back 3. I'm not a huge fan of him this week. All right, let's get to the tight end. Darren Fells has proven to be a pretty decent commodity in the tight end position. Averaging almost 14 fantasy points over the last 4 games. He had 23 last week. I don't expect that to happen again, but we now know it's in his repertoire. 2 touchdowns for 58 yards and 6 targets, 6 receptions. I mean, that's catching all the balls, so gotta love that. And I'm not playing the Texans defense. So let's get over to the Jaguars. We got the Minshew magic going on in Jacksonville. They seem to be really rallying behind this guy. He's playing really well, averaging 21 fantasy points a game. I actually like him this week. He's definitely a play for me. I think he's a top 10 quarterback. He had 30 fantasy points last week. 3 passing touchdowns, 279 yards. During the game, he actually dove underneath the guy and then threw a touchdown. It was beastly. Well, I wouldn't say dive underneath, but he went underneath like that. It was pretty athletic. It was a nice little acrobatic move. Nice to see that he's mobile. I think he's a decent start. As well as DJ Chark DJ Chark DJ Chark DJ Chark. I'm gonna do that, so sorry about it. I enjoy it. DJ Chark has been playing very well, averaging 18 fantasy points a game over the last 4. He had 12 targets in this game, 6 receptions for 79 yards and a touchdown. I like DJ Chark, and I'll play him this week against the Texans without J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney. I don't think that they're going to get as much pressure as they have been getting, and I think that that opens up more time for DJ Chark to get open. All right. D.D. Westbrook has been dinged up. I'm watch to see if he plays. Chris Conley is I think that if you're in a real pinch and you really need a wide receiver, Chris Conley would be okay. 20 points in the last game, 13 points a game before that, 7 targets, 8 targets. I think that if this continues, he actually might be pretty viable. And so if D.D. Westbrook is out, I think Chris Conley is going to be a good start. Leonard Fournette came through with the 20 bomb. My man had 20 fantasy points. He had 7 receptions. What is going on with Leonard Fournette catching the ball now? 7 for 7. Last week, 2 for 2. Week before that, 6 for 6. My man is catching better than some of these wide receivers. I'm sure that the catches are easy because they're shorter, but still, 7 for 7 is pretty solid. You're obviously starting him. He's averaging 132 yards per game. Yeah, start him. He had 19 attempts rushing for 76 yards. Not bad. Not bad. 20 fantasy points. You're not starting his backup, though, but you should keep him just in case. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are playable. Their defense is playable. They've been playing pretty decent, actually, these last couple of games. 18-20. That's really good for a defense. So that's going to do it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Mike Williams, Fantasy Bay. I'm out.